You're welcome to BTA Politics, live on Business Television Africa, BTA. My name is Winston Taki. The program is brought to you by the kindest courtesy of GM Foundation and Group Indum. Today we're going to delve in quite revealing topic that at the moment hasn't really been touched on, that has to do with the new kind of politics that has been suggested that Ghana should apply on, because considering whether our system of politics, our practice of politics, our understanding of politics, is it something that is quite transformative? Is it the kind of politics that impact life? What kind of politics can we say is quite transformative in countries? We've seen the case of Singapore, Kenya is practicing, Rwanda is practicing. We see how countries are increasing, they are developing at a faster rate. But in the case of Ghana, what are the setbacks? What kind of politics is holding us back? We'll be touching on the kind of policies today. Also, we'll be getting in touch with the kind of leadership, the paradigm leadership that we need to shift into. The kind of leadership we're practicing, and does it suit our kind of politics? Who is leading whom? It's a question we'll be asking today on BTA Politics. Today, I have a very interesting gentleman. He's renowned, he's learned, and he's going to delve into very critical analysis on the kind of politics, that is a new kind of politics that is necessary for national development. You're welcome back from the mini documentary. Today we're going to delve into a new kind of politics that is necessary for national transformation, and also a new leadership paradigm that is necessary also to ensure that people and the followership of this country's leadership is adhered to. My guest at the moment on the show on BTA Politics is Mr. Charles Sam. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the Golden Future Promotion in Ghana. Hello, sir. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I like to feel very relaxed and easy.
Wow.
I'm very simply dressed, usually in African wear. Today, I decided to remember those who died a year ago, and we still have the same issues.
That's true. I would like to take your thoughts on the June 3rd disaster. 1 year down the lane, do you believe we've done much to ensure that this kind of disaster doesn't meet us? Because lives were lost, properties were lost, and our cities have become hopeless to certain residents. Do we still have to wait till these disasters fall until we start waking up and from our slumber?
We have done something as a country. At least we've seen the AMA working on the Odo drainage system. We've also seen some properties raised down and a few other actions here and there, but it's not comprehensive enough. This issue has got several parts that we need to deal with. The first is strong, willing leadership, determined leadership to take the bull by the horn, to take this whole thing by storm, all the parts of it. Okay, including dealing with citizens that need to be dealt with. All those things must be packaged and dealt with. So that first. And then, of course, there are other aspects of the work itself that needs to be done, the laws that need to be enforced. Then also going back as well to the storm drains that need to be done, because we are really sitting on water right now. Water coming down, coming from the Ibri side and all whatnot. Storm drains should have been in place for that, you know. We have not done what we're supposed to do in a very comprehensive manner. I have not seen any really new storm drains, but yet we've said we're going to do them, all right? So I think that, in a nutshell, we've done something, but I don't think it's good enough. The test will be when it rains for a couple of days. Yesterday, just a few hours, all right? And you saw what happened in the country, right? The AMA boss told us a week earlier that we doesn't think we see these things again. But you see, yesterday, some parts of even the door as well, that's even being dredged, okay, have had issues, running into Adabraka and all whatnot as well. So I'm not the one to say so. We all see what is happening already, and that we need to tackle this very properly in a holistic manner, in a comprehensive manner, okay, and that we'll be able to move our country forward.
Okay, we'll come to a point where we see whether it's as a result of lack of focus or leadership problem, that is why we are where we are in terms of that and dealing with the flood issue, or as a nation holistically. But now let's start with the new kind of leadership. That is one topic we'll be dealing with this evening. You know, looking at it also, before we come to the new, we have to assess whether the old has been strong enough to sustain us to this far as a country. So going back to history, we've had presidents, we have prime ministers. Assessing the kind of leadership we've come into as a country, do you believe much has been done at the moment?
The Ghana situation has been an interesting journey. And it started from Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah, despite all that you say about him, offered a certain result-oriented leadership. Kwame Nkrumah did everything in a very comprehensive manner with an integrated approach. That informs how sustainable a program or a project is. Sustainability is what has been discontinued when Nkrumah left. Nkrumah wanted a certain agricultural product. He did a comprehensive study, ensured that he got any knowledge he could get around the world, in addition to ours, and then also put in place all the various components and parts that will make him get the results, because he was a results-oriented leader. Same thing like the leaders of Singapore and some of the other nations that have succeeded. You see a common thread running through Nkrumah that were in all those leaders as well. Now, he was energetic, was very inspiring. He made sure that if he wanted something done, he could get anybody who had the knowledge or the willingness to do it, to get it done. And that's what Nkrumah started with. You look at the foundation he laid in terms of education, in terms of agriculture, in terms of privacy, even business development, business itself, and then other aspects of the nation, including science and technology. You realize that this is somebody who had a long-term vision of a nation, seeing a nation going through time, a nation that transcends the immediate or the next election, a nation that went beyond in looking to very long term. And that's what Nkrumah demonstrated. And that's the correct type of leadership you need in terms of transformation and bigger thinking and talking about sustainability into the future. Now, after Nkrumah, I'm not going to mention every single leader, but we seem to have...
Before you move to the second leader, what do you say of Nkrumah's selectivity in terms of gathering the core competence of people to pursue a particular agenda? Because a leader is questioned based on his ability to gather people, to make the people believe in him. Did Nkrumah have that kind of ability to embark on certain national agenda?
Yes, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, first of all, succeeded in communicating his vision to the people. A leader's job is not just to have a vision or a correct vision or a long-term vision. Your job is also to effectively communicate the dream or the vision to the people. First of all, those who work around you, okay? And then also the wider society or public. Because effective communication breeds understanding. Now, understanding releases a commitment on the part of the people around you, okay, and the wider public to engage to fulfill that dream. Because it is not the president's job to actually fulfill the dream. It is his job to envision, okay, think, and then communicate to us, inspire us along the way, all right, and show the way, do the way, and go the way as well, okay, in terms of examples. And then after that, his other final job would be to make sure that if there are any bottlenecks or issues along the way, he helps us address those issues so we have a smooth ride going forward. Nkrumah did that. He was able to effectively communicate his vision. He was able to galvanize people around the dream. He was a very inspiring leader. That you were in a corner somewhere, he enters even a classroom at Chimota and everybody gets excited, and you know, he's able to excite people around the dream. You may not like him, but when it comes to galvanizing around his dream, somehow he succeeded in doing that. And if you look at the nations that succeeded in the third world, some of those nations in South America and also in Southeast Asia, you realize that They had a lot of revolutionaries, there's always some dose of revolutionarism inside. Not the normal passive thing, every day, cool, lying down, quiet. No, it must be something like that, especially to draw the energies of young people, because that is where the energy for real productivity is. The energy that moves the nation is within the young people. So it's important to be able to attract them and galvanize them to make sure that we're all a determined people pursuing one dream as a country. So that's what Nkrumah did. Now, if you look at the other leaders that came, every leader, of course, has their own personality, has their style. But you see, for our kind of people, you go to church, for instance. I'll give you an example. A pastor comes and preaches a very intelligent, correct message, but soft-toned. Ghanaians don't seem to feel it very much. When they come out of church, I was church, Okasai, he spoke, but Muvu to say, Bakono. You should understand our people. Our people, we love drumming and dancing. Okay, at every moment of chance we have, we're people who like a lot of display. Okay, we like a lot of I'll call it shakenomics. We love that very much. So having people like that, you should understand the game you have to play to be able to inspire people. Let me give an example. I remember asking J.H. Mensah, former senior minister under the Kufuor administration, why President Kufuor can't seem to be a bit more energetic in his presentations, especially with the youth population in the country who form the majority. I mean, you should have some inspiring speeches from him, that to galvanize and inspire us to rise up and hit the heights. But all his public speaking on a very low-key tone, he said the right things though, but in a low-key tone. When he was meeting people in the castle, he's saying something to us, but I never saw him give proper, periodic broadcast to the nation. Apart from end of the year, a few other times, never. So I asked J.H. Mensah. He says, look, Charles, everybody has got their style as a leader, okay? That I understood. But I still said no, but still, that doesn't mean that it's the quiet as a leader. If an animal is attacking, you shout. You can do something, you can do that as well. Well, I left there, I just agreed with him there, but I was unsatisfied. And I had the opportunity of talking to the president about these speeches. I actually hounded him a little bit about some of these broadcasts to the nation. He said we'll do it. And well, that's where it ended. That's where it ended. Now, so if you look at our leadership over time, we haven't had one with the progressive development tenets. I'm not talking about human rights and stuff. I'm talking about pure development, as Kwame Nkrumah had. We haven't had it. Since that time till now, we haven't had it.
So that is what you believe is lost in our politics?
Because that is what you find in the countries that have all succeeded from scratch or from a bad situation.
Okay. Anytime Ghana comes to mind in terms of development, one country that we used to juxtapose is Singapore. Because it's believed we attained independence at the same time. Even Singaporeans came to this country, learned from us, and went to develop their country. What is it that we fail to do? Like Mid mentioned, first of all, a leader has to study its people to understand them before he can lead them to the promised land. So far, what have we lost?
It's very simple. A nation's success is measured by results, not effort. In this country, we've done well. We've come a long way. That is misplaced sentimentalism. We have to deal with the hard, cold facts, practical calculations based on sound statistics and sound principles. That's what we've not had in this country for a long time. Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, first of all, took a stock of what he has. What did he have? Human beings, sand, some water, and an old British base with mosquitoes all around the place. But what did Lee Kuan Yew do? He says, look, myself and my leadership, since we have basically human beings, and land and a bit of water. Let's do a study and find out what our core competency will be. He also said we must find something that will make us the number one, not a mediocre standard, not a debate standard, number one in that region. And even going around the world, also we could play a very central role in what happens. So Lee Kuan Yew and his team did their research very well, and mind you, it was thorough research. Chairman Mao of China always insisted on thorough research. In Ghana, we don't do thorough research. Now, if you are a doctor, a medical doctor, and you don't do a proper diagnosis, thorough diagnosis of a situation, of a patient, how can you prescribe the right solutions to solve it? We do have big things in this country. Our statistics are flawed in this country. We also rumor monger a lot in this country. Things are not established on hardcore facts. We dwell very much on misplaced sentimentalism. Lee Kuan Yew could not afford to do that. Now, what did he do next? He says, look, we've become an entreport economy. Basically, that's a service economy. We have ships passing through. We can decide now to create some refineries, and then we refine the oil for people who are in the region because we don't have oil, and they will purchase from us. That will create the jobs, that will pay tax to the state, that will have a multiplier effect on other aspects of the economy. He also said, look, in order that we have this type of economy and succeed and have sustainability, we must ensure that we make it a first-class economy, what he called, in his words, an elite economy, not some half-baked thing or yayebi. Yes, onipa baby, one baby. Now, he identified what had to be done. That's what Ghana does not do. This is where we are going. Destination first. It's a principle that I don't understand why Ghanaians don't get. God is Alpha and Omega, the beginning and end. He does not begin anything unless he has ended it. He sees the end, the destination, the point where he wants to get to, the final product he wants, the quality of it, the packaging, everything. He sees it. This is what I want done. Then he tailor suits all actions to make sure he can achieve that goal. That's why the Chinese, knowing that they want to export around the world, and eventually they started by copying, then eventually homegrown innovation, they are still exporting around the world, that they still subsidize because they will tailor make it to suit them. What are they looking for? They know they'll get jobs in the process, tax will pay to the state. You may not get everything, but you must identify what you want, what you have, and what you want. Lee Kuan Yew said, look, in order to produce an elite economy, you have to have elite administrators. You have to have elite managers. You have elite skilled labor force. Because you cannot produce what you don't have. You cannot produce an elite economy with mediocre standard administrators and people who will just be dancing as own to all over the place. When you ask them to explain something they can't explain, they start giving you that we have to join form committees and all that. No. Then Lee Kuan Yew said, for us to have that, then it means we must have an elite educational system. The education that must be tailor-suited for what we want. Ghana, we produce anything keke. Generalities. No expertise in specialty areas. Do we know even our core competency as a country? We don't know it. Because we must identify that and identify 1-2 areas that we could focus on as a country and be known for and to hit the world with. That's what Lee Kuan Yew did. That's what the nations that have succeeded from where they were. That's what Deng Xiaoping did in China as well, with China's economic reforms. Then he says, look, so we have to make sure that the education system is A1, A+. An educational system that trains the head, renewal of the mind, transformation, an educational system that trains both the intellect and the mind. Because the intellect only is a place for retention and a few other things. Unfortunately, in Ghana, even our retention level is very low. So the retention of other nations are far better than ours. It goes to say the teaching methods as well that are being used as well. It's what creates all those problems. But you must actually train both the intellect and the mind. The mind is where creativity, innovation comes from. And all you see around the world that looks fascinating and nice to all of us, that we admire so much, comes from the mind. We have left that aspect of it. So he trained to make sure that education also trains the heart, because character formation is absolutely important. We can't have intelligent people who are thieves as accountants. We can't have intelligent people who know the stuff but can't do teamwork.
Is that a reason why continuously we keep hearing the particular word or statement like lack of behavioral change in ordinary Ghanaian when it comes to dealing with issues? Because you go to offices, you go to government agencies, and unproductivity is the order of the day.
That's it. This education I'm telling you about actually started from home, our kind. Opening kasa, akwadan kasa. So we have grown with an inferiority complex in us. Deadly, very bad. Self-belief is not there. We are not taught to save at home. Every American home has got a piggy bank there. You learn the culture of savings. Mommy is going to the market, you budget. Today, you learn how to budget. These things are not taught us. But you go to Asian homes, you go to homes in America, they taught these things. So you don't become an old man before you start learning how to save with GM Bank. You don't do that. That's not what happens. The culture is with you, and you prioritize your spending. You prioritize your savings as well, to make sure that you don't spend by heart. You save, you invest. The culture of investment is there. It's all part of the education that we had. Started from home, went to classroom, another disaster. Classroom education that we had is not interactive. The God Almighty teacher comes, he knows everything, he comes to tell you what to do. Unfortunately, in our universities, they prepare notes, you must buy the notes. If you don't buy the notes, they don't pass you. And I'm very happy, I've heard the Minister for Education last week has terminated that, or has given instruction that should be terminated. Because it does not encourage creativity and innovation. Because if you go to school in America, for instance, when you get to there, every week you're supposed to read 500 pages of material. You synthesize it and develop your own understanding. That's a situation that will not make one person do space to space and everybody does space to space in the same catchment area, because you're creative. Our education does not teach us how to think, it teaches us what to think. So you constantly receive instructions from somebody. Our education does not teach us how to do, it teaches us what to do.
Is that the point where you say our default mode is? Because students come out of universities and they are lost in the field of where you ask them, what do you intend to be, what do you intend to do, and they tell you, I can do anything. Is that a right phrase?
That's the thing. This whole educational system of ours is flawed. It's very flawed. Now, at this time of Ghana's history, just to hop onto that, what we should be looking at is people we can produce. The third thing I had not mentioned, the hands, should be able to produce practical things. The theory is too much in Ghana. Practical things, very practical things. So we become a pragmatic people. We have results. We get results. We are result oriented. Otherwise, then if we were, wouldn't be, if we're result oriented, wouldn't be doing in the pipeline plans and far advanced. We are working on it, and it never gets results. Then, so back to Lee Kuan Yew. I'm not digressing. Back to Lee Kuan Yew. He dealt with the education system, so we produced that. He even went a step further to say, look, I'm sorry if I put so much emphasis on a certain group of people in the country. He says, look, out of every 1,000 babies that are born, a certain percentage is above average and near genius. And another percentage also have got IQ issues, so they're there. I have found out, that's what I'm quoting him. He says, I have discovered or found out that through research and proper research, not the 419 research sometimes we do around here. Proper research indicated to him that clearly that those are the people, the above average and near geniuses are the ones who end up leading society. So let's put a special focus on them. Nurture them properly. Give them holistic, rounded, relevant education. Not partial, holistic, rounded education. So these people are people who are sharp up there, okay? They're very creative, innovative. They also got character, okay? In terms of character, they deliver goods as well. That's the kind of human being you want to produce, basically for education. But then we must also look wider and begin to look for some of the most intelligent ones, smartest ones, and give them some special training as well, because they are the ones who lead society. Lee Kuan Yew then moved from education, also said, look, if I'm going to set up a high commission anywhere in the world, it must give me two things. Otherwise, I don't open any embassy, any high commission. One, I'm looking for capital and I'm looking for technology. So if any of these countries can give me that, relevant to what we want to do here, our national agenda, I'll open a high commission there. If not, let's not waste our time at all. So for him, it was economic diplomacy. That was his priority. That was what he was interested in. How national interest anywhere in the world. And that's what Lee Kuan Yew did. Now, Lee Kuan Yew also told all his ambassadors, express instructions, and not only ambassadors, even former officials. They use all of them still. When you travel abroad, first of all, study the country. Find out all you can about the leader. Find out all you can about the economy. Find out any new things that we don't have here that is progressive. And when you come and share it with us. So cabinet was full of that stuff, including he, the prime minister himself. He was then prime minister. So he led by example. He says also, only when you go abroad and you see any journal or book that can make sense to us and can feed into our agenda here, make us a better people, sharper, astute, global players and thinkers, then bring it, share it, to pass it around as well for all of us to also read, so we all have knowledge. Because Lee Kuan Yew and any successful game you have to play dwells on collective thinking, the ability to think together. That's what we don't have in Ghana. We've allowed, and I'll come to that, the aspect of politics that has destroyed us. I'm laying a certain foundation now. This is what Ghana has done, that we have not thought collectively. We have not nurtured trust-based stakeholder dialogue, which is at the core of humanity's ability to be able to surmount challenges and create sustainable long-term ventures.
Could it be also because Ghanaians have failed to decipher the code of the kind of leadership that they require to lead them to the destiny land, because of the kind of tag being placed on the leaders? Some would say because the leader belongs to this tribe, like political tribal politics, the part of our leadership for years, that has corrupted certain aspects of authentic leadership that we aspire to gain.
It's a leadership issue. I said it earlier on, but maybe allow me to break it down, then we'll get to that point. It's a leadership issue because a people take on the spirit of the leaders. That's what it is. Lee Kuan Yew was such a disciplined leader, a visionary leader, a man determined at all costs, that is legitimate, to be able to transform Singapore. And today we see the results. So for me, let's start with results. What did he do? That's what I'm telling you now, what he did. Lee Kuan Yew also said something. He says, look, the Chinese, and Singapore has got some ethnic Chinese. He said, the Chinese know their destiny is superpower status. All the rest is tactics. What is the tactics that he talked about? Have we, any of us, researched to find out what those tactics were? In our schools and universities, all the campuses in this country, you never hear that word. But that's what the added impetus that gave them the success. Singapore also had 3 words that everybody lived: change, urgency, construction. 3 words. Dubai is, I think, is think, create, innovate. What is Ghana? What is Ghana's own? These are national philosophies that get embedded in us and become part of our lives, a culture, a way of life, a way of living that drives the individual and then connects all of us together as one nation, fighting for a progressive future. We don't have it now, and we've allowed our kind of politics to even further mess us up big time.
Okay, now Ghana, what must we do? What structures must we put in place? What kind of leadership best suits our current political terrain?
Fantastic. Where we are now as a country, let's talk about that. We know we've gone down the garden path of self-destruction. So many things have gone wrong in our country over a long period of time. And then one government after the other comes on board, comes on and comes to compound it, seems to be solving something, but eventually it's a bigger problem than before. It's become a very complicated problem because now we, the citizenry, too, have taken on the type of what they've done and have become another big junk as well. But you see, the good thing is that the world, it keeps on changing and is dynamic. And that when you realize that recently in the world there's been a lot of shake-up of all sorts, economic and all whatnot, that's God shaking up the world to give us another chance. So what we've got to do is to wake up as a country, recognize that it is the moment now for us to take advantage and jump on board again. With new thinking, obviously, with big imagination, with a certain understanding of the world and how it operates, with a certain determination, clear thinking, the necessary dare, that is courage, the reinvention of Ghana. That's where we are now. Ghana has hit the wall, not only with Dumsor. The factors that have brought us to our knees in terms of Dumsor, or the light off, light on situation, that has affected us so badly economically, runs through so many sectors of our country, including education. Now, that means that we're headed for a collapse. That is the naked truth before God Almighty. We shouldn't fool ourselves. 1 + 1 is 2. It can't be 11. It's only in Ghanaian politics that 1 + 1 becomes 11. With an Azonto somersaulting and eventually the figures change again. No, we must recognize the time, because God created the earth that way, with times, eras, and seasons. Every time, era, and season has got its own tenant and what you do. The way the game is played, I call it the game. So after all the mess we created for ourselves, lessons we've learned, some we've not learned, we have been slow at so many things, that's fine. But another opportunity has come for us, which I think is the last opportunity for us. And not just for us, but for the whole of Africa. It's the last opportunity for us to change our game.
Okay, now let me come to another issue. Now, I get you, you come to that. Yes. But in the case of Lee Kuan Yew, you made mention of sustainability,
yes,
as one aspect of your politics that keeps them moving on. In the case of, in Ghana, we've seen government upon government and projects being started and being ended. What is the antidote you believe can best be done to sync governance with sustainability?
That's exactly what I said early on. Maybe you didn't hear me. What is at the core of humankind's ability to surmount big challenges is trust-based stakeholder dialogue, co-creation, cooperation, collaborative inventiveness. That's the game. So no matter the partisan politics that you play, and it must be civilized, we'll talk about that, we must have a certain foundation or a certain zone that we preserve for national interest. Why are we doing politics? Why the vehicle of politics is not an end in itself. It's a means to an end. It's a vehicle for us to choose leaders who would do what? Who would come and take the instruments of state to harness the energies of the country into productive ventures, and also to make us global players that succeed in the world. It also is a vehicle for the contest of ideas around our national interest. Politics is the vehicle or tool that we use to promote a better life for people, raise the living standards of people, promote a new vision, an ambitious one for that much, one that is bigger than us, that will challenge us to bring out the best in us.
You take us through how that kind of politics can, in a way, be advanced in this country. Briefly, after we go for the political news. So, viewers, as you can see, the issue is really going on. My guest today is Mr. Charles Sam. He's the CEO of the Golden Future Promotion, and he's taking us through the leadership paradigm of the nation Ghana, and comparatively with Singapore. You realize that there's a lot that Ghana can learn from Singapore. This is History 101, Political 101. It's giving us the leadership tenets that we believe should we inculcate in our country to ensure that sustainability transformation will be the order of the day. Up next is political news. So you can stay right back. Welcome back to BTA Politics. We're discussing the tenets of democracy, whether the new paradigm shift is the way to go. My guest today is Mr. Charles Sam. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the Golden Future Promotion. He gave us quite an insightful definition of politics in the country, and his definition is something that I'm really getting excited about. So at the moment, we want to know how this kind of politics can be best practiced in the nation Ghana. So, Mr. Charles, now with your definition going forward, how can this politics be well suited to our current culture and practices in this country?
Politics is standard anywhere in the world. There's no different definition for another country. It's the same thing wherever you go. Politics is about people. Politics is about values-based enterprise with indices comparable to anything in the world. It is something that dropped from heaven yesterday. It's been with us. There are templates all over the world. Politics is primarily not about the politician. It is about the politician serving, the politician laying down his life for the bigger good, for our collective good, for the citizenry, for the advancement, to harness the energies within the nation, within everybody, within the various groups, the various tribes, the various ethnic groups, the various bodies, religious bodies, everybody together, business people, traditional rulers and their setups, to galvanize all that energy to move our country forward in competition with the world, to give us a better GDP, overall GDP, okay, and then also other good figures. Now, politics is about, like you said, it's about advancing people's lives. Two things that politics should do: add value to the people a politician came to meet. Add value. And the second one is there should be a multiplication of the great things in their lives. Where Ghana has reached now, our national anthem has become a mockery to God, because God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. What we should be aspiring to is to be a great nation. If we have the guts to pray to God that bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong, then we must prepare to do everything that makes us a great nation. Great nation status is not wished like manna from heaven. It must be intentionally and deliberately carved out and designed to get results. So if our next game now is to become a great nation, a great nation is a compassionate nation. A great nation has got proper, solid, humane institutions. A great nation has got great leaders. So Ghana, after 59 years and trailing so badly in terms of real development, with real issues based on where we're supposed to have been. And in comparison to other nations, we started with like South Korea and Singapore and the rest. We should be looking for great leaders. Not just any good leader, not just any excellent leader. We should look for great leaders. The next election, election 2016, is an election that cuts off, is a cutting point, a breakaway from everything that is past in Ghana that has led us into this catastrophe and mess. Therefore, it's a new game. It's game-changing time for Ghana. The next election is not about the issues that we dealt with before. It's a major transformation agenda where you're going to elect great leaders who will pursue the great nation project, great vision, great transformation, great education. Will produce great teachers, great cutting across all the sectors of our nation. That will be called a very great nation on this earth. A great nation is a successful nation. A great nation operates or applies the soundest principles on this earth. A great nation is a highly disciplined nation. That is what we must seek to build now. It's a transformation game. If we continue on the same path we are on, there will be a bitter repeat of history. Doom so will come back in even a larger form. We must be thinking of a Ghana built to last through time, through generations. The type Nkrumah thought about that he built Accra Tamale motorway, which was at par with the M1 in Britain. Today, what has Britain done? What did we do? This then gives me a clear picture of what the agenda should be. Like I said, a big transformation agenda. What is our core competency as Ghana?
Okay, before you deal with the case of competency as a nation, what you believe that we should prioritize as a vision, a value that drives us as individuals collectively, before we come to that, assessing the political candidate that have been given by political parties, what are the key requirements that you believe one should have in order to lead a nation that is believed to be great? Should we embark on certain trajectory?
First of all, leadership must be honest, qualitative, competent, effective, and responsible. This is a simple criteria. A lot goes into that.
Can you please reiterate this point again?
Leadership that we need now, going forward, must be honest, qualitative, competent, effective, and responsible. This is the core criteria. Let him break it down, then I widen it a bit. Sure. You must have compassion and empathy. The leadership originality is tied to wanting a burning desire in you to improve the lives of other people. Take them to a far better place, not incremental development. Exponential growth, transformational development, big leaps, and transformational revolutionary development is not, oh, I've done one road, you've done two roads. No, that's incremental development. We should get out to that game. We should think of now creating new growth poles. So it takes a leader who is foresighted, visionary leadership, but visionary who is prepared to achieve as well. We must have a leadership that is courageous enough to be able to take the hardest decisions necessary to be taken, because there is a price we have to pay to get somewhere. Look, I hear people talk about hardship all the time. There's hardship. That is not a basis to remove a government or to put the government in. Hardship has two sides. You could have hardship as a result of a leadership of ineptitude, incompetence, or whatever it is, that can bring about with so many errors and wrongs, wrong direction, wrong agenda, that could bring about untold hardship. You could also have a leadership that is looking into the future, a major transformation agenda. But in setting the game, we have to pay a certain price of sacrifice to get there. That can also bring some hardships. But it's hardships that we all agree that we'll go through because we know we're on the right track and we are going to end up in the right destination. It's a hardship that all of us must bear, not some of us, and some don't bear it. Because it becomes illegitimate then. That becomes when our leaders are self-aggrandizing, which Ghanaian politics is very much like. You lose credibility with the people. Credibility goes with believability. Because I'll question the validity of any goal that you state because I'll question your motive. You may have a right motive for it, but I'll start thinking this man, he wants to take, say, against 50%. He's constructing bridges and all infrastructure because they've inflated the prices. They are getting half the money. That is why honesty and integrity is absolutely important. The next set of leadership must have in Ghana, whether it's the incumbent one that is going to be re-elected or they're going to be kicked out and whoever comes in on board. Integrity is of absolute importance because the Ghanaian people are tired and losing hope in democracy as a result of some of these games that have been played with us. The lies, the deception, the promise of paradise on earth, only to turn out to be political Draculas sucking our blood.
Is that why some have been calling for the military rule back into motion?
Yes, that is misplaced. I can understand the people in Tunisia because they had never experienced democracy. So that was the way they could move out there. Ghana has experienced democracy. That is why it's even more dangerous. When you have a large population of young people in the country, brimming with energy and hope and aspirations that are constantly shut down, they are not taken care of, they are not guided. They tend to believe that injustice has become law or the order of the day. Then resistance becomes a duty for them. If you are saying the young people should not do anything bad, should not get into violence, then the authorities must do the right thing. Our political class must do the right thing. The executive, the legislature, the judiciary, they must do the right thing. Judges, after the scandal that came, must restore legitimacy, more legitimacy to the courts. With the many scandals of many of our political class, the political class has a duty to ensure that they pride themselves of their foul mouths of insults, of acrimony, and also of stealing.
How does the fight or the struggle against corruption necessary or integral as to a leader's call by ensuring that he can have people believing in him as a person?
Leadership is by example. The man in Tanzania, is it Tanzania?
Yeah.
Look at what he's doing.
Magufuli.
Because leadership by example. That is the first thing. Especially when you have young people around who are impressionable. Leadership is by knowledge and example. So you live by example. You live what you're preaching. You live the highest standard. The president of the Republic of Ghana or any nation in the world is the number one. Listen, heads of states represent the authority over God's people. It is not his people. They are God's people, God's human beings. God expects them to be treated in a certain way. God has put talents, gifts, and abilities in them. He says he created them in his image and likeness. They are visionary. God is visionary. God is imaginative. God is strategic. God is an organizer. Okay, he's a planner. He's a thinker. That is what you find in the human beings in the Republic of Ghana. The 27 million Ghanaians or so. That's what is in us. So it's not President Mahama's people, or President Kufuor's people, or Nana Akufo-Addo's people, or Dr. Park Kwesundu's people, or Dr. Mahama's people, or Ivor Greenstreet's people.
They are God's people.
They are God's people. And you are supposed to be a type of God's authority. God's authority is honest. God's authority is just. God's authority is fair. God's authority is truthful. That's the type of authority that the men and women are sitting on or operating with. It's not their authority, it's not their power. As a matter of fact, the power rests with us if we're smart enough to understand that and then use our collective to deal with whoever messes around.
In instances where these powers are abused, what is the case forward?
What's the way forward? Laws must work. The system must work. And in fact, if you see, there are stages of it. There are presidents who are committed to doing what is right. There are some too, I know some in Africa, I've dealt with them on a personal basis. Most of the time you hear the post, oh, the people around the president who are bad. But the president here, listen, I'm telling you for a fact, in Africa, I've seen some, where the president is a number one corporate himself. Sometimes they accuse other people of being CIA agents, but he was the CIA agent himself. And so they hide behind all kinds of crazy systems and they operate. If the president or the leader or the collective leadership generally, you realize has gotten out of hand, as has been the case in some African countries, then of course, when injustice becomes law, the order of the day, then resistance becomes a duty. That is it. It's as simple and short. Why? When you shake a bottle of Coke up and down, turn it in and out, everything, what do you expect to happen? The little air gets it explodes. It's a law of nature. That is why our leaders must do the right thing. Our political class must be careful. Because listen, all leaders shall end their term in office and die as time passes by. Their greatness and also the way we treat their relatives, their families they left behind, whom they love so much, will be dependent on the service that they give, the loving service that they give to us. But when they go looking after themselves with all kinds of schemes, partnerships, and sometimes it's across the divide, the deals are done, things are happening, you know, and because that you have to prove something by law, okay, with the law, and so you can't prove it lawfully. They hide behind the law and do evil, lie to us, deceive us, shortchange us in deals. That thing, when it happens that way, God steps in. It may be long sometimes, there's long suffering, but I think that some of those sufferings are also learning periods for a lot of us. Look, it said Ghana is tough now, but I think that most of us are now managing our money wiser, better. So I think when Ghana prospers, we must learn to still manage ourselves well. I think when we get God gives us liberation, we don't seem to appreciate it. We just spend by heart. We just do anything by heart. Now when you move your car, you think a lot before you move your car because of petrol. So I think when the situation is, I'm not endorsing the situation because it's killing industry, killing businesses. So many things are not right. But listen, when that happens, it's also a learning period as well. A learning curve for all of us. That's how we must be thinking. Our mindsets must change entirely. Then, more importantly now, is the fact that we must understand the power rests with us. Why are you going to vote? Why did you join a political party? The parties that are only insulting, as a young person, intelligent as you are, creative as you are, where you can create, your mates are creating billions in China and other nations in Africa, and you are here insulted, being given some pittance by some politician whose kids are abroad somewhere, who doesn't go to hospital here, give you money to insult another older person. The curse of God comes upon you. Doesn't come upon, it comes upon you. On Facebook, social media, where you can use that to transform business. People like Sefa, you know, a lot of young people I know of, Kube, the Kobna Samoa and the rest, have been able to create and generate good money from Facebook, contacting anybody. You are here, what are you doing? Some of you people, they're insulting people who are older than ought to be your fathers and mothers. And even if they are your contemporaries, who born dog that you're insulting them? Because our politicians, that's what our politics has become. It has reduced from what I told you is the prime aim of politics to a self-aggrandizement and also holding yourself in power, even if it means illegally. When I say illegally, doesn't necessarily mean even electoral commission. Because your function as a leader, I mean, the things you do are totally legal. They are wrong. They are outside it. Before anything lawful, we must talk about morality. Morality is a prime requisite for leadership.
Okay. Now, they said that the youth of today are future leaders of tomorrow.
They are not future leaders. The future is now, and we are already late. Their mates, go and check their mates, same age, are in classroom in China, but at the same time doing mobile phones and sending to people all over the world.
What is lost in advancing the tapping into the potential of the youth by the leadership?
Listen, the youth, the leadership has lost the plot for a long time in this country. They haven't focused on the real agenda.
Are we visionless at the moment? Will you say?
Listen, for a long time, talking about vision, talking about proper vision, talking about long-term vision. The kind of type that Nkrumah did, and the type that Lee Kuan Yew and the rest did. Long-term vision. Talking about that. That's what we're talking about. a major, big transformational vision. A type like, let me give you an example. If I'm leader now, you see Cape Coast, it's an education enclave. I'll declare it proper, and legislate it well. Now, what do? You already see in this country that a lot of French people have come into this country from Congo, from Zaire, from Gabon, from Ivory Coast, Guinea-Conakry to study here. Isn't it instructive that this is an area of strength we have? They bring in foreigners into the country, they rent accommodation, they buy food, they go out. Some of them like nightlife very much. There are some also in church. They tithe, and the money is circulating within the economy. Is that not it? It's not instructive to us that then we must build on that. The Arabs, the Pakistanis, they have a lot of Indians, they have a lot of money. But because of the anti-terrorism laws now, the world has changed after September 11th. They cannot get visas to America. So why don't you go and negotiate with universities abroad to come and set up extended campuses in Cape Coast? And then we have all these people coming here. Now, when they come here, accommodation will also be there because people have to build hostels. Fast food joints operating 24/7. And tax will be coming to the state. We used to develop and make the place look very wonderful. We'll even have money to put into Kakum Park, which the road has become a total disaster. The castle slave castles, and we can even do some educational tourism and stuff like that. So you can imagine, this is not something where we have to spend too much our money as a country. This is something that they will bring in their cash. Listen, Ghanaian students can also benefit from it and get American certificates and all whatnot. You go to England, the American universities have got extended campuses there, even in Greece, in Saudi Arabia. So why can't we have it here as well? So we create that. Why can't we create a West African Medical Services Center? Why is it that we've been talking about this thing and now South Korea has done it? Africans are flying to South Korea, paying so much money, including the air ticket, for treatment. Who have all the problems with nurses have no jobs? We can even produce a lot of nurses like Cuba and even export some. There are free zones. A lot of American and German factories and British factories are operating in China because economics of scale. And also the figures are better there, cost of production. So our free zone is so strategic that even South Africa exports a lot to America already. It's already established its name. The distance from South Africa to America it makes it more expensive freight-wise than from Ghana. So why don't you open it and they'll still produce it, but they'll put produce of South Africa. That's fine. We don't care about that one. What are we getting? We are getting jobs. Electricity is being paid for. Some it's a tax-free zone thing, but some things we'll get. Some things they'll definitely take from us. You can't get everything, but you must decide that, okay, this is all I'll get from it, and work on it. If the Commander Sugar Factory, we can put it right in a comprehensive manner and do it what we're supposed to do right. And even if it doesn't make profit and just breaks even, that the fact that it creates jobs, our policy is that we are just creating jobs. That's it. This free zone thing, we have an agreement with AGWA where we have preferential tariffs. Why don't we go find these Pakistani and Bangladeshi companies to come and establish?
So we have a host of opportunities for others.
Precisely. West African trade. I'm talking about the export trade. Trade is about currency. The more you export, the more your currency appreciates. So that's the drive, the big drive. What are some of the big things that we are talking about as politicians? I'm not one. I wish I was one. That is what I'm saying. That if we have this type of thinking, they will understand that our politics is not insults and this azonto they've been dancing around and the kind of things they've been doing. No, the low-level discussion on the airwaves. Look at the quality of a discussion or discourse or narrative of our politicians. In the atmosphere, we have a lot of young people that must be clouded with intellectualism. Look, hear them. Debased thinking. That is why I'm saying that the people of the Republic of Ghana this time must rise up, not with guns and all the necessary those fiscal tools. No, they must rise up in their minds. We've been dancing for too long. It's time to shake our heads now and begin to look at why we are going there to vote. On what basis? What has happened to your life up to now? What you must go for. We want to be like other nations. There are opportunities here. This shoe I'm putting on was done by a young Ghanaian boy in Adenta. This shoe passes for any shoe in Europe, in Italy. Adenta. Kinedu, that's his name. In a little corner in Adenta. Who is giving the support? Who is identifying him and giving him the support? What does the MP there do? The DC, what does he do there? And MCE. That's their job. They're supposed to be the chief executives, going for look for markets, helping the people, bringing out their energy. Tax will be paid eventually to the state. And what else again? A lot more. We are angry. We are angry. The young people of this nation, and I lead them, they are angry. They are frustrated. Some have even given up. But we are keeping the lid on.
Your word to the youth directly, looking at the cameras.
Young people have always said to them, I don't pamper them. They must wake up. That's exactly what I'm saying. Wake up and take destiny into your hands. Begin to listen to discussions on the airwaves. It's an election year. Find out what's intelligent. Stop listening to only music and dancing and girls and all whatnot. Begin to start finding out what is. If you don't understand something, go on the internet and read. Rather than go and put up eating gari. Go there and then investigate. If you come across somebody who knows, ask them questions. Connect to the middle class people. They can explain things to you. And then what you do is that, listen, you make sure you go in peace, not in violence, to go and legitimately endorse or disendorse whoever is in power. Put whoever it is in if you don't want that one's in power. But the agenda must be transformation. Agenda of your future. Your future interest has been taken care of. If they're not talking about science and technology development, I think the only person I've heard talk about it comprehensively is Dr. Papa Kwesi Nduom. Intelligently speaking, it is his kind that must rule this country. Why am I telling you this? Dr. Papa Kwesi Nduom has been an assemblyman. Scratch. He understands grassroots politics, grassroots development, grassroots needs. So if he sits as president of the republic and he fashions a policy, first of all, it will be based on informed thinking about what he knows down there, how the system operates. Most of us don't understand. We talk out there, we don't know how the system operates. When problems come, then we start calling for air experts to tell us what is going on. So one, as an assemblyman who understands, so when he sits and makes a decision as president or a policy, he can feel what is going to happen. And he knows the processes that to go through for him to be able to make sure that people do what they have to do. In terms of transformation, he served in the Kufuor administration, isn't it? As the Minister for Public Sector Reform. Transformation is about reforms, primarily about reforms. And I think he acquitted himself creditably, isn't it? So, proven on that point. A businessman, successful one for that much. And not just a businessman aloof. This is a businessman who is actively involved in the businesses. So he has proper supervision. He knows what's happened at all the corners. Or he has people, supervisors who are trusted, who can report to him. Such a person as President of the Republic of Ghana, won't you think you do the same thing? He appoints people, but he will supervise them, make sure. Look, President Wade of Senegal, that old man. 2M, you call you. 2M. Le dossier que je t'ai donné, où est le dossier là? The document I gave to you, where's the document? 2M. What has happened to the document? What's the progress? 2 a.m. He travels from a trip, comes back, blackboard at the airport for 2 hours, explaining why he went on this trip, what it means in the bigger plan of Senegal. We have people in our country, a political class that doesn't do specifics, calculations, nothing. That just like Ghanaians will say, what kind of trust? I know we dance. What are the specifics? What are the results? Do we even know where we are going? What's their knowledge of the world and what is happening? And that Ghana, do you understand that Ghana has got to be a proactive global player? Do you understand that? I hear some of them. Look, someone like President Mahama, I hear him say some of the right things with respect. But you see, saying the things and actually getting them done are two different things. I know government is very difficult in our part of the world. Okay? The politics that we practice, the politics of patronage and the rest, the politics that all people have to help you. When you come, you've got to sort them out. That's the reality about our politics. That is what we must change as a country, because it's costing us too much.
Finally, your comment. What must we do? What is it we've lost? Where must we look out for? And what must we look out for going forward?
Going forward is we the people. We must change the game. If we decide to go this way, leadership will either have to follow us or they move away. They have nobody. So the game is that, especially the young people of this country, listen, must recognize that it's a future that's at stake. They must look at some of the other countries and go and read what happened to them. I was in the thick of the war in Sierra Leone, trying to make peace. Liberia. So what has to be done is that we must be able to establish a citizens' government, synergize communities. Also, we must listen carefully, not just listen carefully, but actually by now, the young people must come up with their own agenda that suits them. Mandela says you don't talk to young people, you talk with them because they have their own ideas. The young people must bring their own agenda. This is what we want as a country. We know what we're looking for. So either the content should be around what they are presented. By now they should have brought a youth manifesto and put it down. Every politician must go around it. Otherwise, no. That's it. But they must take destiny into their hands. Begin to form progressive groups. Use their time wisely. Begin to start thinking. Go on the internet and research for information. Begin to produce little things to look after themselves and pay their little bills around. The young girl came to me and said, okay, you know what? You're going to sell candles. Okay, so I don't know how to make candles. I said, perfume candles. It's very simple. Let's go on the internet. I opened it for her. She read. Okay, and then today she's producing perfume candles. Fantastic. Making some money. Extra income in addition to her job. Okay, she's saving for school. Fried fish, it doesn't matter. Nothing too low for them to do. Fried fish, it doesn't matter what it is. Just fry it, send it to the offices. There's a lot of goodwill for young people. Dress nicely, go there, walk in there, sandwiches by the roadside, dress in white aprons. Make a difference. Add some innovation to the game because you are Ghana's best asset, but you need to survive. And then also work on the bigger picture things. And let's come together and decide on what happens in this country. The agenda, the transformation agenda must be real, not just talk. And let's look at who has proven or has got proven records of being able to pursue a transformation agenda. Not because they say life is hard, life is hard. No, because we've seen the same life is hard. Politicians come and go and the same life is hard. What we must look at is the big agenda. Science and technology. Who is saying anything about it? That is what concerns us, the young people. But who is saying anything about it? Science and technology. I'm sure this thing I've said about Indum, they'll say I've endorsed Indum. But listen, I've only spoken the truth before God Almighty as the type of candidate. You've asked me about Singapore, other countries, but the type of candidate we need is that type. And he only happened to be the one who could fit into it. And that's the truth I've told you. That, trust me. I mean, look, it doesn't mean that President Mahama cannot live up to that. Cannot step up a game and live up to that. It doesn't mean that Akufo-Addo cannot live up to that as well. Are you getting me? All I'm saying is that he was the best example I could use. And that example, trust me, I mean, listen, anybody will tell you the same thing on the ground. That this is the best example of a person, in that caliber of person that we need to run this country and move it forward.
Mr. Charles Pham, it's been a great discussion and I'm grateful to have you on the show BTA Politics. Thanks for coming, sir.
Thank you very much, too.
It was great.
A pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Mr. Charles Pham, Chief Executive Officer of the Golden Future Promotion, has been my guest today on BTA Politics. He's giving us true and insightful revelation, quite historical antecedent as to what kind of leadership is necessary for the transformation of our nation, Ghana. Today, BTA Politics came to you by the kindest courtesy of GM Foundation and Group Indum. Produced by Anna Maria Nyame and my cameraman and crew, Mark and Sammy. I'm most grateful for you making time to show this particular episode. Now, my viewers, thanks for making time to watch the show. Always BTA Politics comes to you live on Business Television Africa from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Stick and stay with more on BTA. For now, bye-bye.